Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press at Down Beach Current, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the municipal website, filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Would you please turn off all electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo? Commissioner Blumberg?
Here.
Okay, on our special discussion item, Jim, the elevation, would you like to talk about that?
Yes. Let me hand out some paperwork to you guys. We had a meeting last week with Jim Rottello. He's running the grant program to elevate properties in the city of Margate with funding from the FEMA. It's a $3 million grant, which will be divvied up amongst 3 different towns: Brigantine, Longport, and us. It's all Class 5 communities. So each of the towns will get $1 million. Out of the $3 million, we're going to have a I'll send you an email on it so you get a copy, and Roger. So out of the $3 million, we're going to hire a construction manager to oversee the project, to make sure that the grant is being run efficiently and that the projects are going according to the permits and specifications that the state or the government, FEMA government, mandates for raising of structures. We've discussed in detail the severity of the homes that must be elevated, and they would be the severe repetitive loss properties. We have identified 3 specific properties in town who have received 1 or more claims, and I broke that down in number 2, which is the amount of money that has to be claimed to be a severe repetitive loss. There's 3 things that we're really looking at, and the first thing on the criteria is like I said, the severe repetitive loss. The second thing is primary homes, which would be their second priority, and then the primary homes with the lowest floor level. So if a home is in Margate and the floor level is around 6 or 5, they would be they would be ranked higher in the nomination to get the funding than a home that's like 9 or 8 that would come in for elevating their structures. The homes that we're trying to right now get with the severe repetitive loss, it would receive about $198,800. That's the maximum cap for the funding. As you know, Margate shares $1 million with a deduction for the construction manager and also the grant writer. So we're looking probably at potential 5 individuals that could probably get the funding to elevate their structures. This is only a one-time deal, but there is also additional funding that could come down the line next year, which we'll apply for, but I don't want to confuse anybody. But we could actually fall into a yearly cycle of FEMA. It's called a FMA program, which would dedicate funding to elevate structures in the city of Margate, which we've already got people lined up for 2018. There's a couple of things we need to go over. The deadline for any future applications is May 17, 2017, and the food for thought for the commissioners is waiving all permit fees for elevating structures, water sewer disconnect fees, any municipal permits for street opening and any municipal fencing permits, dumpster applications. There's a 3-year completion on the project. That means the projects have to be soup to nuts in the ground and a CEO issued within a 3-year time period. We're looking at a possible groundbreaking of the event in November of the end of this year, if everything goes according to FEMA and they give us the funding. But I'm pretty sure the money's already in the system. It's just a matter of us getting all the information to the grant writer and the city's approval on some of the things I brought up with the involvement.
All right, that's a good overview. You only have one decision to make tonight. And the second sheet there is a press release from Brigantine. They're one day ahead of us. They met with us the same day, as did Longport. The Brigantine press release lists the priorities that Jim and I and Lisa are recommending to you. The whole group met last week, and we came up with these priorities, and we have to go back to each 3 governing bodies. Individually, each municipality could select different priorities, but this was the consensus from 2-hour discussion of that group, including the floodplain managers from those towns. And it makes a lot of sense so that we're fair to the public. We want to also say that we have a couple of weeks yet to receive applications. We announced this 6 months ago and asked people for applications, and we've screened those applications that we already have through Jim's office, and these are the 3 that are the highest priority at the moment that he's listed there. But that's kind of immaterial to your discussion tonight. Your only decision tonight, which we have to get back to Jim on, is whether you agree with that same criteria so that we can announce this together. That is the criteria that's in the Brigantine press release that we just handed you. They're the same thing that Jim just said. Has to be, first of all, overridingly, it has to be severe repetitive loss. Secondly, we're recommending that in that category, if there were 100 of those, that the primary homes be the first one selected. After that, if there's still room in the grant, if there's a differential, it's by height. It's by the most, the properties that have the most risk for flooding relative to the elevations of those structures. It's a fair way, it's a logical way, it's foolproof, it's not dependent on Jim's whim or my whim or Lisa's whim or your whim.
How many homes do we have that fall into the severe repetitive loss category?
3 they're on your sheet.
I see the 3. Is that all?
What are the ones that send an application in? There's
Okay.
other ones out there that they never apply for application. We can't make them raise their house.
No. What I'm saying is there's other ones out there that have loss,
Right.
but not severe repetitive loss.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
There's other ones with severe repetitive loss.
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is other severe repetitive loss properties.
So, wait a minute. So there's only 3 that have applied
Right.
that fall into severe repetitive loss.
Right.
Okay, I got
Well,
it.
we're going to continue to advertise. We're going to put, based on your decision tonight, we're going to put something that's going to work.
So
Put
people that
something on a website.
So people that have not yet
They still have a
applied, once they hear that there might be money out there, might now fall into this, might apply and fall into the severe repetitive loss category.
Correct.
We could then look at, if we got the money, instead of dividing it up amongst 3, we might divide it up amongst 10. Yes or no?
Rich, I think that once we commit to these 3, that's it. The deadline's on the May 3rd.
The deadline is way before May. The deadline for us to apply for the grant is May, I think, at this point.
Right.
But to answer your question, I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. You know. In other words, if we had 100, could we give everybody $10,000 instead of $100,000? Is this question?
That's my question.
Yes.
Why,
It's my understanding you
and
can.
my druthers would be to spread this money out amongst more than few. And so I'm wondering, does this tie our hands to those three and only those three? And what Lisa is saying is maybe the answer to that is no.
And to answer your question, I think what you were saying is, although I don't have the list, but it's showing that there are 3 severe repetitive loss properties on there. You were asking, are there more in the city? Yes, there are. And every year, a list is forwarded to Jim as the floodplain manager and the CRS coordinator of all the repetitive loss
Right.
properties in the city. One thing that I would like to also add to the discussion is that this grant differs from prior grants that have come about post Hurricane Sandy in that people are eligible for this. It's not a requirement that you incur damage from Hurricane Sandy. The money that was available before that, you had to have incurred it. So this is opening up the opportunity to other property owners who did not incur that damage, who are interested in their property, or elevating their home. Also, this grant it's reimbursable. You have to have a final CO issued prior to being reimbursed, and the reimbursement is at 75%. There have been, and it sounds like there will be additional funding opportunities in the future where property owners may be eligible for 90% reimbursement on elevating their homes. So this funding opportunity is kind of like, it's a bonus, and it was basically because of our excellent rate within that CRS program, due
Okay.
to Jim's
And
efforts.
Again, I don't, if we have the opportunity not to tie our hands to only 3 homeowners, I think that once people in the city realize that there's money out there, that we will get additional applications.
I agree with you, and we will find out about that. However, I have one other question that may help narrow that field. You have a list of all the severe repetitive loss properties.
Yes.
Do you have an estimate of how many there are in the city?
There's 64.
There are 64.
Okay.
That's the number. Out of that 64, did we not send letters to all 64?
We sent letters to all 64.
You've already sent letters to all 64 of those people.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they won't respond still, but they haven't yet
Right,
responded.
okay.
Right.
And
Does
so
this,
what Jim is saying, of those 64, only a few of them have
right,
responded.
okay.
And Lisa's right. There is 7 individuals who are on our lease or are on our list that have applied and have met all the criteria and have been vetted. But we decided in the meeting maybe we can offer the opportunity to see if anybody else would like to join in.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and also, Maury, the elevation cost, even though if you want to disperse it to, more than a handful of people, the cost of elevating a home, from what my understanding is, it's, probably like $100,000 plus. So, if you divvy it up, it's really not going to be totally beneficial
Right.
because it's not going to cover
No, I
the cost.
understand that.
And
And
the people,
those, from what I've read, those costs are all over the map.
right,
Depending on the house, depending on the
Exactly.
contractor,
right.
and the like.
Yeah.
I've heard figures of houses that have been raised for 30,000.
Mhm.
So, again, I just want to make sure that we haven't 100% tied our
What
hands.
we'll do is come back to you before it's finalized, so it is clear.
Good.
But we're going to come back to you based on this criteria, if that's okay.
I'm good with that. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Rich. Lisa, thank you.
I have one question, just not to beat this to death, but, okay, so now Margate's gonna process these grants. Will we have the money in our possession?
No.
Okay,
It's reimbursable.
All right, so
So
we're
basically,
dependent on a federal agency a year from now after somebody spends the money in reliance upon the city of Margate saying, you've got 75% covered. What happens if they don't have the money?
They have the
well,
money,
then you have
Scott.
to have the money, you have
We
to,
don't put the money up front, but individually.
right.
The
Yes,
the
and
state
that's
police
part-
is running the program for FEMA. The guy said at the meeting, I think his name was Ryan, or Brian? Ryan, he said that the money is in he has the money. He's just waiting to cut checks to the municipalities when they have approved the applications.
So if we've approved the application, we will have control of the money.
No. It's
No.
after each individual property is complete. Then a CO is gonna be issued. I don't know the technical, logistics of it. But once a CO is issued, and then I guess someone from the state comes and inspects the project and makes sure that everything was, done in proper order, then they will process a reimbursement, which is actually going to come to Margate for all three towns. I will be notified as to who's eligible for reimbursement. They'll say, okay, 22 West Drive, is complete.
Well, besides 20, you meant besides that.
And, here's a check, and then I'll have to, once I get, oh, you have no idea.
But you're happy.
Okay,
You're satisfied, having spent all the time
Well,
I've now spent with you about trying to collect money.
not
Are we-
totally,
Okay.
but anyway,
But
but that's
sorta.
how it's going to work. Yes, yes,
All right, so we're,
yes.
everybody in agreement, we move on with this?
Not a
to-
lot of risk,
Cool,
there's
cool.
a lot of benefit to our property.
Cool.
To Lisa, who's proceeded to them with Jim's credit, as CRS manager, the only way these three towns have been selected by the state, not the federal government, based on our CRS rating, that they've
God
worked with
bless
us
you.
for 10 years, and we're the only three towns that have the rating that we have, which is five.
Five.
Five. So the towns that don't have a five are not getting it.
Good.
So we have Mr. Galantino to thank as well as Mr. Madaka.
And we thank you.
Bless you.
God bless.
Galantino, thank you.
Okay.
No, it's
Thank,
a hell of a good.
thank you, Jim. At this point, we'll move on to department head reports. And I think today we'll start with Chief Tavasso.
Thank you, Mayor. Everything is good in the fire department. I did want to report one, it's really not a good statistic, but we've had numerous Narcan calls in the last few weeks. And I just wanted to make you aware of that within the city of Margate. And all the calls were saves, but that's all I have to report today.
Thank you, Chief. Lisa?
I have nothing to add. Are you going to touch on the budget, Rich? Or did you? You can do it, yes. Rich will report on the budget. Thank you. How was that?
Chief Wilson?
Everything is good.
Roger?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Last month's planning board meeting, they established a subcommittee to review ordinances on a periodic basis, just to make changes and recommend them to the governing body instead of waiting every 5 years. Also, the master plan presentation is tentatively scheduled for the Monday, March 20th for the planning board. And yesterday, there was a green team meeting with the Margate Sustainability Plan. They have some great ideas to tweak our ordinances to do more to protect trees. And the example that keeps getting cited is Rumson Avenue and Winchester Ave, or Monmouth Avenue, to protect mature trees in the city of Margate. We'll discuss that further as we get more information. I just wanted to share that with you.
Did you look at those trees?
Yes, they're gonna come down anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roger. Ed?
Okay. We did submit the 2017 state aid application for Atlantic Avenue. The beach thoroughfare dredging we spoke about, sedimentation plan has been reviewed with comments. We're going to address them back to the DEP. The Ventnor Avenue and Washington Avenue intersection, I distributed the concept plans. I would just ask everyone to look at them. I had the conversation with the mayor. He knows my favorite, but take a look at them and we'll go from there. The Union Avenue Municipal Building Playground upgrade, the contracts have been sent to Iconelli. As soon as they're received back, we'll execute them, have the pre-construction meeting so that we can get that moving. Same thing with Albert Marine and the handicap accessible construction. They have been sent to Albert Marine. As soon as we get them back, we'll have the pre-construction meeting. The state aid reconstruction of Winchester from Jerome to Granville. The contractor has been working on the large 14-inch water main. They anticipate moving now from Hanover to do the next phase, which is from Hanover to Granville. They previously have been working from Jerome to Hanover to try to minimize the inconvenience to the residents. So they will be starting on Tuesday installing the dewatering pipes, which then will close all the cross streets from Hanover to Granville for the unit blocks north and the 100 block north. They all will be on local traffic only. Perna Finnegan's estimated completion date is May 17th of 17. The road program is under construction. The first road that they're working on is Lancaster Avenue from Monmouth to Amherst. As everyone has seen, I've said they have Amherst Avenue closed because it's a very deep sewer main. It's a main trunk line that runs down Monmouth, down Lancaster, and then ultimately to the Granville Avenue pump station. So probably at least another week to two for that inconvenience, and then they will start moving on to the next street. The water tank painting, they should be starting very soon. We actually issued the notice to proceed today. As I previously discussed, we have to do scaffolding so that they can enclose it, so there's no migration of any cleaning material or paint. That will involve encroaching 5 feet into the ball field and also about 15 feet, 10 to 15 feet into the park. Any landscaping that's damaged will have to be restored by the contractor. And the City Hall 1 South, the contractor's working on the punch list, has pretty much everything done. There are 2 items that will be completed tomorrow. That will leave 3 for the subcontractors to finish. And the gas company. The gas company currently has 24 services that remain as of today. The city is assisting, and I don't know how that is going, Chief, with the service people and locating the people or contacting them.
We're down to 5.
Great, fantastic. As soon as the rest of these services are done, they will start the abandonment of the old system and the connection of the new system. Once that is done, they anticipate March 15th to start milling and paving. I asked to meet with them next week just to get an update on that, but that's their anticipated start date on the paving. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ed. Rich, do you have anything?
Couple things. We added a resolution on 45 today, which has been circulating the county relative to supporting the county, relative to their dispute on the pilot program of getting dollars from Atlantic City. I think there's some errors in here in this resolution. I would ask that you consider the resolution anyhow, but that the technical wording get revised by the solicitor and the clerk prior. It says, I think it's just typos that it says now therefore be resolved by the Board of Chosen Freeholders. I mean, it's now therefore be resolved by, so if the solicitor and the clerk can just work on that. The idea of it is still the same. You're supporting the county. All the other towns are doing this in Atlantic County. But it's just a technical thing that I just picked up this minute. Resolution 46 was added. Commissioner Amadeo and I spoke this morning. He's been working with Fred, who was here, but I don't know where Fred is at the moment. If you have any questions, you can ask Fred. But they've been working together to get a contract for our HVAC services for this building and the other City Hall building, and to get it in place within our bid limits and with our contractor that we've been using, and they've been able, CM3, which we've been able to do. And I just want to explain that to you if you have any questions now before it gets on the other agenda. It's $17,000 for, and it covers some work that was already done this year, so it's within that. We would have to pay separately, but it's within this contract. It's for a whole year. If we don't use all the $17,000, it carries over to a future year as well. I think Ed can verify that CM3 has come to our assistance
Excellent, absolutely.
many times. They've been a contractor with us before, but in order to cover the emergencies we had in January, we need to get this under contract so that their bill can be paid. I don't think there's any controversy about it. I just wanted to explain it to you. So that's on your 5 o'clock agenda. Lastly, on our schedule, to reiterate our schedule, the final capital ordinance draft was submitted to you earlier today. You have some time. We're going to instruct our bond counsel to prepare the bond ordinance for March 16th. On March 16th, which is 2 meetings from now, we're going to also be ready to introduce our operating budget. I've gone over it with, in bottom lines at least, with the Commissioner of Revenue and Finance earlier today. I've spoken privately to the mayor. I'll be speaking to Commissioner Amadeo tomorrow. And if you have any further questions on it, you need to get back to Lisa within, the next week or so. But we'll be prepared to finalize it with our auditor and have it presented by our CFO on March 16th. I think that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Rich? Thank you, Rich. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. I just recently did 17 job site inspections that are under construction and met with all the contractors. I know this has been a thorn in the side with the way they've been handled and keeping them clean. At this point, we only found one that's out of business. It's the Granville Gladstone property. They are in, I think they're in receivership now. Did you hear anything about that, Scott?
No.
But I was wondering maybe we can come in the future, just have post a bond, and then we can take the money from the bond to clean up the sites. Like a $2,000 bond wouldn't be a bad idea, since there's no one there to clean it up and keep the sidewalks clean.
Now, this is where?
Next to Joe Tozzi's property, next to the bank.
They've stopped completely? Wow. Again?
And the street's a mess. And if Frank were here, he would tell you it's horrible, especially for the Castle Street. It's a shame. So by next Thursday, if they're not cleaned up, we're going to issue a summons to appear in court and rein these guys in. We've already exceeded our permit number this month than any year I've ever worked here, and I'm going on my 27th year, so I can't imagine the volume of construction that's out there. But if that tells you anything, we're going to really keep the city motivated and keep working. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim.
Just a couple
Scott?
minor things. So tonight on this resolution 45 regarding the county taxation issue, we were going to approve that, just have it be commissioners of the city of Margate.
Correct.
Under the VSOP. So we have that covered. Okay. I noted earlier today, and I had already checked into the problem we had on the Thurlow Avenue property, one that had been elevated after the fire. There is a crew working there, and as from what I understand from my sources in the real estate world, the bankruptcy court has allowed the transfer of the property back to the Wells Fargo company. So it is now owned by Wells Fargo, is my understanding, but I haven't seen the documentation. meaning that the property that the neighbors have been complaining about is no longer owned by the individual who had it. She lost it. Now, that's a very sad situation. There was a tragedy there, as you know. There were a number of hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent raising that house. She lost it. She went into foreclosure, went into bankruptcy. And from what I understand, but I haven't seen the paperwork, I do know that it was in bankruptcy, that it's now been taken back by the lender. And I know for a fact that they had a crew, a large crew there, cleaning it up and working on it. So that should be some relief to the neighbors that are there. We'll go from that. Other than that, I really, we had talked briefly about our dredging progress, and we're still going on with our meetings. We're gonna have another meeting in 2 weeks, trying to put together the recommendation. We're a long way from starting dredging, but we're closer than we were.
We just have to decide what restaurant we're at.
Yeah, that's right, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's all I
All
have.
right, thank you, Scott. Johanna, do you have anything?
I have nothing to report.
Maury?
Nope, nothing for me.
And I'm clear too. At this point, we will open to public comment. Our normal procedure is you have 3 minutes to make any public comment you want on any of the items that were talked about here at this meeting. Is there any public comment?
Mayor, following up on the remarks of our esteemed fire chief,
Name and address, please.
Sewell, 22 West Drive, in marvelous Marvin Gardens, where tumbleweeds blow down in the middle of winter. It's on the clock, Mayor. Just relax. Time will pass soon enough for you.
Not fast enough, John.
Not fast enough. I realize that. But on the remarks of the chief, where, quote, numerous,
John, we can hear you.
Good, listen up. Numerous, you're wasting my time. I've only got 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Numerous Narcan calls. Now, I know, Mayor, that you are clueless, hapless, and feckless when it comes to reporting of the Inky out of Philadelphia. But perhaps the chief caught the article on the cost of Narcan. It is going to skyrocket. And the taxpayer should not be on the hook for these costs. Particularly, Chief, since it's my understanding that not only are they numerous Narcan calls, but they are repetitive Narcan calls. And under no circumstances should Narcan be administered a second time unless and until that person, that so-called save, is willing to undergo drug treatment. We're not trying to help the drug pushers get their customers back, save their customers. Now, as an active member of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 5, I have to refrain from making any comments about how the police department is run or not run. I will speak to the chief privately on this particular issue. But it cannot persist. If you're having this number of calls, it calls for radical intervention. And it calls for this steeply increasing cost on Narcan to be picked up by the so-called saves. If they appreciate being saved so much, then let them pay for the Narcan and not shove it onto the taxpayer. If you charge little old ladies to take them to the hospital, then you should certainly charge these people dollar for dollar, case for case. This is an intolerable situation. It should not be permitted. Mayor, you can nod your head all you want, but the truth is the truth.
I was shaking, John.
Yeah, I know, it's I understand. It's an early stage Parkinson's, perhaps. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I'd like to speak about the Narcan problems also. I happen to know a situation that happened a week or so ago over at Washington Avenue Motel where there were 2 saves, and one of the persons was saved last, was it 4th of July or Memorial Day, I forget. And that's all, it's great to bring somebody back. And then there was another save for that same person 10 years ago when he used to live on Union Avenue. You know, I do work on that property, and the people that are working there, they tell me that if they leave tools in the building at night, the next morning they're gone, okay? And another incident that one of these people was, you know, somebody gave him a job on a construction site. They left Friday afternoon, they came back Monday. The house was totally robbed. They took all the pipe and fittings and everything else. Maybe they got $50 for junk. This is some of the other cost of these people, okay, that you're bringing back.
So let them die, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that there has to be a policy, okay, that where if you're going to bring this person back, they have to be mandatory treatment, okay? This is for the good of society, okay? Because this, you know, we went to school with kids that were on junk and what have you, and they're all dead, aren't they, Scott? The ones, you remember them?
Some are not, Steve, some are not.
Most. 90% are dead. I got news for you. This person that I happen to know, a couple more years, he's going to be dead unless something's done, okay? Of course, let me just say one other thing. If a taxpayer needs assistance, needs an ambulance or something, and you're at a Narcan save, I would say leave the Narcan and get the taxpayer to the hospital or whatever he needs, okay? That's another thing I would like to say about this. But something has to be done. You just can't bring these people back. You're just bringing back, I mean, all you're doing is postponing a disaster, okay, a death. And
That's a lot of weight on a fireman.
What if someone's having a heart attack?
We can
Right.
handle it,
They're
Scott.
having a heart attack. Just,
That's that then.
that's
We
all
can
right.
handle
Heart
it.
disease, we're gonna let you go?
no, that's not what I said at all. I said that if you're on a Narcan call, okay, let the Narcan go and get the heart attack. Okay?
Yeah, this is.
I mean, this is a cost. These people have a tremendous burden on society.
Right, they have
Okay?
an addiction.
It's more than an addiction, okay? These are choices,
Yeah.
okay? We can debate this all you want. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it, the taxpayer, without some kind of program where this person has to go to treatment or something, and this is for the good of that person, okay? Because they're just going to die. And look what the
Thank you,
damage that
Steve.
they're doing in the meantime.
Thank you. I just come away from this discussion. I have one question. How much is a human life worth? You don't have to answer.
Well, no, I'll answer it. Some are worth more than others. Yeah, and some are worth nothing.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, well, let's be real, you know. Oh, well, the world's just...
Steve, I'm out.
So you've become our Lord and Savior, you get to
Eh,
pick.
Is there any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment? I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Johanna?
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo, Commissioner Blummer.
Yes.
Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Close the meeting, excuse me.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Mayor Becker.
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo, Commissioner Blummer.
Yes.
Thank you. We will take a 5-minute recess.